how do you impress a person like a Buddy Guy or a Ronnie Earl, or on the cruise when you jam with someone for the first time, Curtis Salgado, whoever that person might be, Taj Mahal?
Yeah.
How do you impress them?
I don't know.
I mean, you're a young girl.
I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to figure that out because, I'm like, be yourself. Don't be yourself. Be yourself. Don't be yourself.
Yeah.
No, I guess just I try to be myself. I go, I'm like, all right, well, this is what I know. I'm 25. It's all I know at 25.
Yeah.
And I'm going to know more later, but,
Sure.
Here's what I got, and I hope you like it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And then
Good.
maybe if they're impressed, they're impressed. If not,
Good. I'm sure they are.
It's always nice. I mean, it's just that, the getting that, what's the word I'm looking for? Coffee needs kicking.
Yeah, I know. It's early now, right now. Getting approval, validation.
Yeah, it's like a validation,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
and it's really nice, because you spend all this time working, and every musician will tell you you spend a lot of time, and I'm just on the cusp of starting to put my work in. It's not even really started for me, but just the little amount that I've done in comparison, it's like, it's nice to get that approval.
Right.
And, feel like you're on the right track.
Yeah. Well, back to that whole thing I started with, because I see the comparisons between athletics and music and being an artist and athlete, and they say that 10,000 hours of practice helps you know how to perform when you're faced with something that you've never faced before.
Yeah.
So when you're out there on a baseball field, those guys know how to attack a certain pitch because they've practiced it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So that practice that you've put in helps you survive and do, be yourself in those moments when you're out there with Buddy, Ronnie, whatever, Tommy. Yeah.
Well, a lot of it's trial by fire too. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to do until you get put in the situation. Then you learn a little lesson, and it's great.
That's right. Now I know you're on the road and you're going here and you're going there and blah 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 blah. Are you still practicing when you're home?
Yeah.
What's the practice schedule like?
Well,
now that you've got 4 records and these little honors and blah blah blah.
I have to force myself, because time gets away so easily. When I get home, it's like sometimes the last thing I want to do is touch a guitar. Because it's terrible to say because I love playing guitar, but sometimes you just get home, you're like, get away from me. I have to force myself, and sometimes I'm better at it than other times.
Yeah.
But when I'm on the road, if we have a little extra time, it's hard to find a routine when you're touring.
Right.
But if we have a little time, I'll try and pick it up here and there, and see what I can learn. Like when I was out on the road with the Royal Southern Brotherhood, I'd sit down with Mike Zito, and every chance I can, I sit down. I'm like, all right, show me something, because that guy's an encyclopedia. Knowledge of guitars. So
Sure. Does the cigar box, does picking that up now perhaps give you some new incentive to learn?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that's a whole different style, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I bought that back in October of 2012, and it was something I'd always want to learn. Like I said, when I first fell in love with the blues, I fell in love with that really raw, gutsy sound. So I'd always wanted one, but for some reason I just was like, I can never figure it out. So I was actually down in King Biscuit. We played that festival in 2012, and it was perfect. There was a guy from Missouri selling them. He lives 40 minutes from me.
Yeah.
But it seemed like the thing, so I just picked it up. And I started playing around with it, and I started writing songs. I mean, that's when I learn a lot, is when I just start writing songs and you start finding new things, and just picking it up as much as you can. You find little voicings that are yours because you're just messing around.
Yeah. Does it have 2 strings on it?
4.
It has 4. So you've got 1 bass and then 3 treble.
Well, no, it's actually pretty easy. I mean, I just take a set of 10-gauge strings and I cut off the 2 E's.
Oh, yeah.
And use the middle 4.
Okay.
And that's how you string that one up, and you just string it to an open chord.
Right. Cool. You've mentioned a number of male guitar players.
Yeah.
Who are the females who are your mentors?
Well, it's hard. Man, I mean, I grew up. My first musician chick that I was I mean, it was my first concert.
Yeah.
And I saw Sheryl Crow back in 2002. Yeah. And I remember being a kid, and I was like, why would I want to go to a concert? Why would I want to see music? I can just hear it. And it's not, I mean, I can hear it on the radio.
Yeah.
And then I saw this concert, and it changed me. You know,
Right.
it blew me away. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, and I
That's
know
right.
a lot of people know her from her pop stuff, but seeing her in concert live, she plays piano, she plays bass, she plays guitar.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
running around the stage. She's a rock star.
Yep, yep,
The
yep.
show is just dynamic as
Yeah.
I'll get out. And, you know, so her, and then of course, you know, going back and finding Bonnie Raitt.
Yeah.
Bonnie Raitt's huge
That's right.
guitar player.
Yeah,
So.
good. Because I know like people like Bonnie and Debbie Davies, who I've talked to a lot.
Yeah.
Those guys had no female guitar mentors.
Yeah.
But now when I talk to Joanne Shaw Taylor, Samantha Fish, Lori Morvan, you know, there's a whole group of guitar players like yourselves who've had a bunch to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Laura Chavez, you know, you guys all have people who you can learn from.
There was,
Women.
you know, and like Memphis Minnie.
Memphis Minnie, of course.
And so I remember listening to her because I was like, well, she's a girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Guitar player. And it's funny. It's kind of funny how everything ties in. My dad's friend gave me this Women of Blues guitar players, and it was a Roof Records recording.
That's
and
right.
it was a compilation they put out. And I got it 10 years before I ever got the deal with them, and I would have never thought in a million years that someday I was going to be on there. You know,
Yeah,
it was a weird kind of a deal. I realized that I had that record and I'd listened to it a whole bunch.
That's right.
You know, just these women guitar players, and there are a lot of them now. I think it's really great.
I think so too. Yeah. It really it adds a whole fresh outlook to the music. You know, it's not always masculine and with a masculine kind of bravado, but now there's a little bit of a feminine touch to the music that softens it a little bit, but still has a very powerful message.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll get to Roof in just a minute, but how lucky are you to grow up in Kansas City?
I know. It was a great town.
Could this have happened without Kansas City, do you think?
I don't think so.
You know,
I mean, just because I don't know if I would have gravitated to what I did.
Yeah.
You know, and I think about it, I was like, I guess I'm kind of spoiled because I grew up thinking, well, every town's like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every town's got this kind of a scene. And really, we've got something special in Kansas City with the jams and the bands that are there. And, you know, how I came up cutting my teeth at jams, you know, with Trampled Underfoot and Levittown and Lottie Ray. My first mentor was a guy named Greg Camp, and he was more of like a country bluegrass guy, and I would go out and sit in at his open mics. And I mean, I just had a lot of options, you know, to go out and play and get in front of people and start getting an audience. And there's a lot going on there.
There is. I know you played Knuckleheads an awful lot. That's like your home field, if you will.
And those guys really, I mean, I think them, it's like Knuckleheads and Mike Zito.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I met Mike,
Right.
was at Knuckleheads.
Okay.
They would put me up on stage with, you know, pretty much everybody that would come through town. Frank would be like asking Michael Burks, "Can you get this girl up here?" You know, and if they were, you know, if they wanted to, they'd get me up and I'd jam. And that's how I met a lot of people before I ever got out, and that's how I met Mike, and we became friends that way.
Sure.
So.
And of course, Roger is right. Roger Neighbor, who runs the legendary Rhythm and Blues Cruise.
Yep.
You know, you're sitting right in his backyard, so I'm sure he hears your name, sees you with Trampled Underfoot, invites you on the cruise. Does that cruise opens a lot of doors, doesn't it?
It does, you know. And the first time I went on, I paid for my ticket. I was like, I was Chris's guest, and you know, just went on to kind of hang out, go to the open jams and stuff. And it really does. I mean, it's funny how someone can catch fire like that. Like I saw it with Will Wild back in 2012 with the Girls and Guitars thing, and he just started in the Crow's Nest, and then before the end of the week he's playing all the pro jams, and he's getting in and he's sitting in on people's sets. So it really takes fire like that. The you know, a lot of these cruisers, I mean, they go home to all their different cities and they tell their friends, and that's, I mean, we've gone to places, you know, that I've never been, like in Oregon, and all of a sudden we have a crowd there, and I'm going, how? No, Blues Cruise.
That's right.